They asked me to clap for my brother, then the general saluted me.
The ballroom was full of applause. Crystal lights shimmered from the ceiling, and the sound of proud laughter echoed through the hall. My father stood at the center of the stage beside my brother Daniel, his arm wrapped proudly around his shoulder. "Tonight," my father announced with a wide smile, raising his glass, "we celebrate my son, the future of this family." Everyone clapped. My mother wiped a tear from her eye as Daniel grinned proudly, wearing a tailored suit that made him look like the hero of the evening. And me. I stood near the back of the room beside the dessert table, quietly watching. No one asked where I had been for the last 8 years. No one wondered why I had arrived late. They just assumed I had come to watch. My father spotted me and waved me closer. "Lisa," he called. Several relatives turned their heads. I walked slowly toward the stage, the polished floor reflecting the lights above. When I reached them, my father placed a hand on my shoulder the same way he used to when I was a child. "This is a big day for your brother," he said with a gentle chuckle. "We're so proud of his accomplishments." I nodded. Daniel had just been promoted at his company, a comfortable job, a stable future. My father leaned closer and whispered quietly, "Just stand here and clap for him, okay?" The words didn't sting the way they used to. Years ago, they would have shattered me. But tonight, they only made me breathe slowly. Because tonight was not just Daniel's celebration. It was also the night my secret would finally step into the light. The applause grew louder as Daniel began thanking everyone who had helped him reach this moment. My mother dabbed her eyes dramatically. My cousins filmed everything on their phones. My father kept smiling proudly. And I kept standing silently. The truth was, my family had never really believed in me. When we were younger, Daniel was always the golden child, the one teachers praised, the one relatives bragged about during holidays. Lisa was the quiet one, the strange one, the one who asked too many questions. When I was 17, I told my family I wanted to join the military. My father laughed so hard, he nearly spilled his drink. "The military," he had said. "Lisa, you can't even run a mile without complaining." Daniel had joined the laughter. "You'll last 1 week," he joked. But I didn't laugh. And I didn't argue. I simply packed my bags after graduation and left. Boot camp was the first place in my life where nobody knew my last name. Nobody compared me to Daniel. Nobody expected me to fail. And it was also the hardest thing I had ever done. The first week, I nearly collapsed during a 20-mile march. My feet bled. My muscles screamed. I wanted to quit. But something inside me refused to break. Maybe it was the memory of my father laughing. Maybe it was Daniel's smirk. Or maybe it was the quiet voice inside me whispering, "Prove them wrong." Months turned into years. Training became missions. Missions became leadership. And slowly, the quiet girl who nobody believed in became someone stronger. Someone sharper. Someone who could lead others through chaos without losing focus. But my family never knew. They rarely called. When they did, they mostly talked about Daniel. "Your brother just bought a new car. Daniel got promoted again. Daniel might start his own company." I always listened. I always said congratulations. And I never told them what I had become. Back in the ballroom, Daniel finished his speech. Everyone cheered loudly. My father clapped the hardest. Then suddenly, the large doors at the back of the hall opened. The room slowly quieted. Several heads turned. A group of uniformed military officers walked inside. Their polished shoes echoed across the floor. Their medals shimmered beneath the lights. At their center walked an older man with silver hair and a calm, commanding presence. Conversations stopped completely. My father looked confused. "Did someone invite the military band or something?" he muttered. The officers continued walking straight toward the stage. One of them approached my father politely. "Excuse me, sir," he said. "Yes," my father replied nervously. "We're looking for Major Lisa Carter." The entire room froze. My father blinked. "Major who?" The officer turned slightly, and his eyes met mine. "Major Carter," he said respectfully. My father's hand slowly slid off my shoulder. The older man in the center of the group stepped forward. His uniform carried more stars than anyone else in the room. Gasps rippled through the crowd as people recognized the rank. The general stopped directly in front of me. For a moment, there was silence. Then, he raised his hand sharply and gave me a full military salute. "Major Lisa Carter," he said proudly, "it's an honor." The entire ballroom looked like it had stopped breathing. My father stared at me as if he were seeing a stranger. Daniel's confident smile had vanished. I returned the salute calmly. "Sir." The general turned toward the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "you're standing in the presence of one of the finest officers our command has produced." Whispers exploded across the room. The general continued. "Major Carter led a rescue operation last winter that saved 12 soldiers trapped behind enemy lines." Several people gasped. "She refused evacuation until every one of them was safe." My mother covered her mouth. Daniel slowly stepped back. "And next month," the general added proudly, "she will become one of the youngest officers ever considered for brigadier command." The silence that followed felt enormous. The same relatives who once ignored me now stared with wide eyes. Phones that had been recording Daniel were now pointed toward me. My father looked pale. "Lisa," he whispered. But I wasn't looking at him. For years, I had imagined this moment. I had imagined shouting, arguing, demanding recognition. But standing there now, none of that mattered. Because respect earned through silence is louder than any argument. The general placed a small metal box into my hands. "A token of appreciation from command," he said. I nodded respectfully. "Thank you, sir." Then he smiled. "You should be proud, Major." For the first time in years, my father spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. You never told us." I looked at him calmly. "You never asked." No anger. No bitterness. Just truth. Daniel slowly stepped forward. "Lisa, I didn't know." I met his eyes. "I know." For a moment, he looked smaller than I remembered. Not because he had changed, but because the pedestal he stood on had disappeared. My father cleared his throat awkwardly. "Well, this is incredible." But the pride in his voice sounded different now. Less certain. Less loud. Because tonight, the daughter who was supposed to stand quietly and clap had walked in with the highest rank in the room. And for the first time in their lives, my family wasn't applauding Daniel. They were standing silently, in awe of Lisa Carter. The quiet girl they never believed in. The soldier they never saw coming. And the officer the general himself had just saluted.